Welcome back to another episode of The Ether, where we disrupt your thinking, challenge the status quo, and illuminate the path to easier business success. I'm your host, Brandon Gano, joined by my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator, founder, and mastermind behind What If, where we exist to demonstrate the acceleration, ease, and joy that comes from running a truly harmonious business. Let's dive in to another episode and grow your business. It's another episode of The Ether.
Love it. Love it.
Sean,
love that
welcome
smoky
back.
goodness.
What's that?
I said I love that smoky goodness.
I love the smoky goodness. I love The Ether. Hey, fun fact about The Ether. The man, the myth, the legend behind the name, The Ether, will be on this show in the very near future. For those of you listening, our subscribers, our fans, our little fangirls out there, love you, first of all. His name is Wei Hong, and he is he has got some of the coolest technology in the world that I'm sure we've talked about on this show, if not on our other show. But yeah, he'll be a guest on this show. We're going to be talking about leadership and human optimization. So that's coming up in a few weeks. But we got a lot to go over today. Last week, I teased that we were going to tell you a little story about how we were able to save an investor well over 6 figures of an investment into a potential investment into a company by using our BAD, our business architecture diagnostic tool. I'll toss that on the screen and in the show notes if you want to check it out. But we're going to postpone that to next week because some things came up. There's doors falling off airplanes. People are being sucked out of the plane into midair. That part didn't happen, but I'm being dramatic. But we got a lot to talk about, and I want to talk about that because it's a much bigger issue, and it's one that I see percolating down into a number of different industries, whether you fly airplanes or not, Sean. So we have a lot to cover here. First and foremost, this might be a little bit of a touchy topic as you're about to get on an airplane in like 24 hours from when we're recording this.
Provided they let me, because I got a notification on my phone. I'm sitting down at the end of the day, trying to relax. Come here, children, flock to me. Sit on daddy. Let us while away our evening hours in comfortable bliss, knowing that all is right with the world. Daddy's dying. And my phone alerts me that good news, United says. Your flight's gone. But that's okay, because we booked you on a flight 6 a.m. the next morning. So good for you. Look at us helping you out. Son of a... I don't want to go the next day. I need to go this day. So now I got to do something. So now I have to try to find another flight on that day. Oh, there's no flights at all on that day. I guess you live in Miami now. Sorry, kids. Daddy lives here now. No. So now I got to go to another airline. And United better hope that I don't have an equally marginally dismal experience like most airlines are pumping out these days. Because if I have anything better than the low bar that everybody's playing with, I may not come back. Thanks.
Any planes ever?
Rescheduling. I don't know. Let's see. That's the kind of mood I'm in now, United. Now they say, well, I mean, let's talk about what we're talking about. You said it's a
so this obviously
there's the emotion.
This sparked the conversation for today. We were on the phone the other day, and Sean goes, "What are we talking about on The Ether?" And he tells this story. I go, "I think I found what we're talking about. This is an easy one." So, all right, let's set the stage here because we're making fun of United a little bit. This is not a United problem. It's not an Alaska Airlines problem. It's the manufacturer problem, which is Boeing, and also one of their subcontractors, Spirit. So there's a lot of moving parts here at play. Boeing has had issues with this very plane, the 737 MAX. A couple of years ago, you may remember, they had 2 planes crash, 100% fatality on both of them because of a malfunctioning, air quotes, safety feature on both of those planes. In that particular instance, and I think this is important to note, Boeing manufactured a plane with upgraded safety features and failed to train their pilots and the airlines on those features and how to mitigate if something was to go wrong. there was a section deep in their operating manual of what to do in the case of a safety feature failure. And obviously in those two cases, they were not found in time, and all 300 plus people lost their lives. Fast forward, the Max is cleared to fly again late last year, I believe, or maybe 2022. And now these issues are creeping up again. So in this case, it was earlier in January, Alaska Airlines, mid-flight, about 10 minutes into a flight, a door plug falls off in midair, and you have a hole in the side of an airplane.
Whoopsie.
Sean, is that good to have a hole in the side of any airplane?
You know, I hang around with a lot of aviation kind of experts, and this is the kind of thing that they've told me is not ideal. And so,
not ideal is the correct answer, yes.
Listen, well, let's pause here for a second. Let's not say that it's not a United issue. It's a United issue.
No, we're going to get there. The customer service issue is definitely a United. It's affecting United, Alaska, and there were some European airlines that do have this particular model in service. So yeah, that's the down the line issue. The central issue, though, is how Boeing handled the response to the nearly getting 150 passengers sucked out of the side of a plane. That's definitely an issue.
The airline industry, we regulate based on tombstones. No one died on this one, so
that's so bad. And this coming from someone who was a consultant to one of the big American airlines.
Listen,
I'm not going to say who.
No,
but I'm just going to put that out there.
This was not my problem.
Right. No. This is not your problem, but you are familiar with the industry.
I am
more than most, for sure. But so the interesting for me that I noticed during this whole situation was, I think this happened on a Friday. The first statement from Alaska was immediate. It was their plane. It was their issue. They addressed the situation immediately and said, "We're looking into this. We're treating the people on board."
A statement immediately and said, "Oh my God, this whole thing!" That's the first statement they gave.
Yes, that was the first statement. The probably more important statement was from the CEO of Boeing. It didn't come until 3 days later. 3 days. The FAA grounded the 737, the Maxes, the following day and put new safety checks in place. But I found that interesting because from a leadership perspective, so in the harmonious architecture, we call leadership inspire. This was deemed a Boeing issue almost immediately, and their CEO waited 3 days to issue a statement. Tell me your first response to that.
Well, again, they're thinking, nobody died. Let's pump the brakes. Let's see. We've had issues with this jet before. The last thing we need is another issue here. So before we fess up to anything, let's see if we can determine how bad is this. We don't need these planes yanked out of service again. That's going to be a big problem. Or we're just going to come out again and say, well, we're safety first. But let's see if in the chain of ownership here, maybe it's one of our subcontractors. Maybe we did everything right, but a bunch of lazy workers didn't do the right thing there. Because this problem could be anywhere. And so you have to ask a lot of questions to find out where this could be. I have a conversation. I have a comment I want to make too about the downstream workers with where you can come out then and say, safety is our number one core value. Is it? I mean, is it? Because I don't think that it is. Well, I mean, here we are again having this conversation. Now, unless it's squarely somewhere else. So I think what should have happened was the safety is our highest priority. And if it's somewhere, either with us, the vendors, the people who the FAA outsources their safety checks to, wherever it is in the chain of command, we accept full culpability for any and all pieces that we touched or that we could impact going forward. If it's putting higher standards on the people we partner with, et cetera, we take full responsibility for that. And it doesn't take someone dying to get our attention. We're all over this. I mean, that is a way of saying, if we did, earlier in the process. If we did something, absolutely. And even if we didn't, we're here to support everybody, because what are we doing? Right. And then how are we going to fix it? It's not going to just be us. Well, we'll get into that next, but go ahead. I mean, what's your response to it immediately?
That's an interesting. Oh, I was pretty much appalled by the response, because it was not only 3 days late, it was then the blame was pushed to one of their subcontractors, like you said, Spirit Aeronautics or something like that. You can look it up. Not super important. So it was not being accountable, waiting 3 days, pushing blame on somebody else. I just looked this up while you were talking there. Their first 2 core values, Boeing, is safety and, word for word, be accountable from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So the leadership just violated the first 2 core values, which nullified them across the board in the company, which means this is only going to happen again.
And so you can't say, right, you can't say safety's number one and then have anyone in the chain not putting safety first. Clearly, that just means at the top we say that safety is number one. So I think in thinking about all this, you think, well, maybe it was one of the safety crews, one of the inspection crews. Well, how could they miss this? How could they not be? How could they be doing a crappy job? It's the airline industry. Okay, so any percentage, is there some preventative attribute in being very smart that says that you can't also be lazy? No, you could be smart and lazy. Right? You could be dumb and lazy. We know dumb and lazy, but you could be smart and lazy too. There's no thing that says just because you're smart, you're in it some other advantage. Any more than being smart doesn't mean you can't also be an asshole. Clearly.
Case in point.
And you can be dumb and be an asshole, right? There are certain things, attributes that are universal in a given, take any group of people, and there will be a percentage of them who are lazy or assholes or whatever, okay? So just because somebody is a safety inspector or an engineer with an engineering degree and is working to protect people as they fly through the air inside of a rocket tube, it doesn't mean that there aren't people cutting corners and being lazy assholes. There just will be. So you can assume that there are going to be safety crews out there. Way back in the day, when my father had his own company, a technology management company, he would set up information systems. And so in working with him and help supporting some of his contracts, my partner and I would be going into would be going into a lot of electrical closets, phone wiring closets and stuff. I can't tell you how many times we walk into places and go, who the hell wired this? Like, don't you have to be licensed to touch some of this stuff? I mean, just a mess. And we go, well, who? We know who. We just saw them. There were 3 public service trucks parked outside the Bada Bing. And those guys are not going in there for a 2.5-hour lunch for the buffet at the strip club, right? That they're getting snotted in there, and then they're going up on bucket trucks hanging electrical wire. Well, when that comes down in a storm, and it's gonna, I hope I'm not the one driving through the intersection. And you go, well, how could this? Doesn't public service electric and gas care? Don't they have safety manuals that say these guys shouldn't be getting blitzed over lunch and then going up and hanging high tension wires? I'm sure they do. Does it happen? Yeah. I watched it happen. I see it happening. And if they're not there, they're coming out of the liquor store, pouring a bottle into their thermos so they can be drinking it outside while they're up on said bucket ladder thing, right? This is, well, I'm sure there are safety inspectors that go out. Yeah. And they're looking to get promoted, and they don't want to say that half their crews are crappy. And these guys are, let them take their union approved demanded break times, and let's just, it's cold up there in the truck. We all did it, right? All right, guys, like just keep it to a dull roar and don't get me in trouble. Okay. And then that person's supervisor is glad that he's not the one that has to go out and make site visits anymore. So he's just happy that Tony's going to do that, so he doesn't have to do it anymore. And he's just like, are the guys like relatively going on? We haven't anybody get electrocuted in a while. Yeah, well, all right, keep them happy. It's fine. It's fine. And then that person's supervisor was a woman who got promoted there, right? And she's lucky. She doesn't want to be looking like a DEI hire now. And so she wants to show her competence, and she's got everything locked down. But she also knows that all of these guys that she got hired over, it is a man's world with these linemen. And so she wants to fit in. So she's not going to bust too many chops. So she's like, yeah, let the boys have their B-boys and we're all good. And then that thing drops on a school bus as it's going through the intersection, and it makes the news. And suddenly they're like, and everyone gets a case of the vapors, and public service comes out and says, safety is the most important thing. So we don't know how this can happen. We don't know how this can happen. We know how this can happen. And we know how doors get sucked out of the side of airplanes too. We know how it can happen. A lot of planes, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to check. A lot of, I'm sure that's there for, it'll be fine. Why go through it'll be, I'm going to be opening it again when they land on the other, when they land again. So why put the bolts back? Why tighten this? Why check anything? Why do anything?
Well, to be clear, these doors were not supposed to be moving parts. They are door plugs. They were supposed to be firmly tightened, but that's a very clear example of how the first two of, the first two of 5 core values from Boeing on their website, I'm not making this up, you can go look at it right now, were violated by leadership by passing the blame and not starting with engineering excellence, which is the first value that pertains to safety and quality and integrity of the aircraft.
So why would anybody downstream do anything if that's
exactly
leadership's first response is, well, it wasn't me, must be someone else? Then that is exactly what those people who were supposed to be inspecting that thing would say.
Both in Boeing and in Spirit, the other organization that is still downstream of building the components for the airplanes. So the other thing that came out.
Can you imagine saying, well, it's our subcontractor, because they really do a lousy job. So
that's the part that honestly blew me away, because I was waiting for some sort of a statement of like, hey, one of your planes is falling apart in midair. What's going on? And then to immediately blame the subcontractor totally blew my mind as one of the biggest companies in the world and most famous, infamous companies in the world for killing so many people recently. And that was the response. But then since then, they've had a number of other aircraft.
But for the very reason that if they're so shitty, then why are you using them?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I guess we're still dumb. Shit. How do we blame that decision on someone else too? Like, we're doubling down on how stupid we are. We can't even pass the buck in the right way. What is this thing on a boomerang? Oh no, it came right back.
It's coming back to hit us. So this to me is an interesting situation, looking at the whole picture, going back a few years ago with the planes that crashed, and now this one, thankfully, no lives were lost, no injuries were sustained, but now you have the downstream effect, which is what you alluded to before. So the FAA has grounded all 737 MAX 9s flown predominantly in the United States by Alaska and United. Now, I personally love United. If I'm gonna fangirl on anything, it's United. And my wife always makes fun of me. She's like, "Why do you fly United? There is nothing special about them." And I'm like, "You're right. You are 100% right. There's nothing special, but they're so expensive." And you know how I justify that? I'm like, they must have a really big maintenance budget, because you never really hear about problems with United planes because they overcharge you for everything. There's no frills. There's no nothing. That's got to go somewhere, right? It's going to maintenance. And here we are. But they have affected you in a customer service capacity. So let's look at that now from tying this to the people watching the show. How can we learn from this situation? we first have passed the buck and not taken accountability. Then we've, by not taking accountability, proved that we are the stupid ones. And then we've affected the end users, which are not our customers, but our customers' customers, Alaska and United. And now, unfortunately, Sean Delaney is staying in Miami for longer than he wants to. So what is this?
I'm flying home on a different airline. I'm flying home on a different airline.
That's true. So now you've still affected your customer's customer by effectively losing them because of the way that they've handled
me over there, and they have a chance to wow me now. You gave them that chance because they didn't have. So let's unpack this. So you might think, well, you should be happy they did that because safety is the most important thing. And yet, we've commoditized the offer is not, we'll get you there safely, because you all have to. Like, what airline says, welcome to Crapshoot Airlines? You got like a 75% chance of getting there. I mean, we're using old planes. There's a reason.
I think on like Allegiant, there is a 75% chance of getting there. I love to make fun of airlines, but yeah, you're right. You can't promise a 90% effective landing score.
There's not even flying in out of Vegas. They were like, hey, you people all have gambling problems. Like, oh, we roll the dice on this baby. There's no. So that has become, if it's table stakes, then you're not competing on that. You only have the chance to lose us, quite literally, forever. There's no repeat business if you kill the customers.
That is true.
The main reason that I'm killing anyway, right? These people that, okay. So it's table stakes. You've got to get us there safely. So now it's, are you getting me there comfortably, reliably, with ease? I want to get there without any anxiety over whether I'm going to die, over why am I crammed in here so tightly, over am I going to be able to, are the bathrooms working? There's lots of different anxieties around travel. I don't mean you have to be a nervous traveler. There's just crap you got to deal with. And are
going to be delayed? Are they going to get there? Is somebody going to puke on my lap? There's a number of things that are.
There's a number of things. Okay, and so am I going to have space in the overhead? How are they going to, when in the order they let us go in, am I going to be able to put my bag over my seat, or did I have to? A lot of crap you have to do. And sending me a note that said, good news, we just completely changed your travel schedule. You didn't ask me in any way first. You didn't say, and by the way, we'll give you $100 travel voucher to make it easy to stay an extra night at the hotel, or click here and we'll make sure that you have whatever it is. Click here if you want to talk to a concierge who's going to extend your stay at the hotel for you, if it's at this one and this one and this one. Right there are some other things that could have happened that would have made me think, holy shit, you changed the game. It doesn't have to take that much. And you could have had me forever. I could have said, man, the good news is I know if they ever have to do that, because safety's first, and they got to ground these planes because safety wasn't first. And now we're doing an oopsie cleanup, right? You want to tell me now that safety comes first. So you're going to ground these planes, do the work you already should have done. But you made it easier for me, and not everybody would do that. And now I never have the opportunity to book instead on American Airlines to say, maybe they fixed themselves, because, it's been a while since they screwed me over. Right?
Yeah.
I have no other choice. And if I go there and they make it a really good experience, I don't know, United. I mean, I'm pretty loyal, so you probably have me, but I don't know. You're rolling the dice. Now you're rolling the dice on me ever coming back over something that you should have been doing anyway, because you just didn't take the extra step to try to make the experience. You didn't even tell me why. I had to just watch the news. Mm-hmm. It was just that flight no longer exists. What do you mean? What, like went into a wormhole? What do you mean it no longer exists?
Yeah, at least tell me, like, I would love for you, Sean, not to be sucked out of the side of this plane. So we've canceled this flight. Okay, thank you. You have my
And
best
we
interest in mind. I
understand it
appreciate
could be a
that.
real inconvenience. And if you can't go the next morning, you know, if you can go the next morning, great, and we'll help make your stay easier. Here's a voucher for dinner. Something.
Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting situation from start to finish. All suppliers involved, and obviously touches a number of the harmonious disciplines. Inspire, like we said, rad, risk and defense. I mean, that up and down between also of how things affect things that you do affect your customers and their customers. Literal risk and defense of being sued by people being sucked out of airplanes and their families. There's a whole dynamic here that we could go much deeper on. Hey, maybe we will next week. I don't know. There might be a part 2 to this. So let's see what comes out. We have to jump into the inner circle, which is our mastermind, where we get people results on their businesses and prevent stupid mistakes like this. So I'm excited to go there and help some people grow their businesses. How are you feeling about that?
I think that's great. Let's go do that.
Let's do that, because they're a lot smarter than Boeing, and I love those people. So
they really are. All right.
No, this has been good. All right, people watching the ether, this is awesome. Drop your takeaways, your questions in the comments. Maybe we'll do part 2. I don't know. What do you want to know about this in terms of how it relates to running your business, growing your business? And then we'll tackle that next week. Otherwise, we'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place, on the ether. But for now, we'll see you later. We're going to the inner circle.
Seatbelts on when you fly.
Fasten your seatbelts, people.